Alright, video number 2, where I am reminding myself that I actually really enjoy talking about the negative things, so why the hell have I been letting myself get so butthurt about it lately? That's not to say that this figure is bad, and I have to remind myself to not cry about it, just that if there is a place where Hasbro tried getting lazy on us, to not just point at it and go, see, they're lazy, again. Oh, also my curse is basically a superpower at this point. I post a video where I'm talking about Transformers news the same day Hasbro shows off a ton of their figures. I make a video about that, and then third party all gets together in one giant group and releases a ton of new pictures of their upcoming figures that same day too. Because it is the law of the universe that my news videos have to be outdated. Anyways, it's Studio Series Transformers 1 Megatron. But first, your likes! Please give, and maybe subscribe. God, this thing is insanely leggy. It makes Earthrise Optimus Prime look like he stored all of his height in his waist. That said, this design does have a serious vibe about it. Hilarious that in the movie he changed to resemble Megatron slightly less when he took the name Megatron. This is sharper and more angular. It kind of gives off the feel of slanted tank armor, which is hilarious because what he turns into has to be one of the weakest looking tanks of all time. Bro, in that mode looks like you could hit him with a ham sandwich and bust off a tread. As a robot, I'm really feeling him, even in spite of the legs that would make Jessica Rabbit jealous, and would probably allow him to outdunk Wilt from Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. God, that is the lamest reference I've ever made. But yeah, this just has a cool and mean energy about him, and he's also got a very small energy about him. I don't know how it manages to do it, but I have Core Class Megatron, and when I think about the two of them, and I'm not looking at them, my brain absolutely insists to me that the Core Class is the bigger one. Like, the Studio Series Optimus Prime isn't very good, but he feels like he absolutely dwarfs this dude. Like, of course Optimus wins at the end of the movie, he's pounding on Frodo Baggins here. To be clear, I like this figure way more than I do that sickly miscolored Optimus Prime toy. It's just that there is this inescapable aura of tininess with this thing. Like, the reason he wants to conquer the universe is that he got hit by a shrink ray, and now he's got a bad Napoleon complex. Maybe part of that is the fusion cannon, which I do have to compliment them on for choosing the right version of this for the figure. Yes, it's not the one he had when he was in this form, but the 3-barreled one was so lame and way weaker than this one. Like, seriously, in the movie he goes from being able to rend people in half with a single shot from this one to the 3-barreled version, which doesn't even scratch Optimus's paint. It's like he switched from a Jacobs to a Vladov, or maybe even a Tediore considering he never reloaded until it was destroyed. Disgusting. But while I commend them for picking the better version of this to use, and despite its immense power in the movie, there is no denying that it is a wimpy-looking version of the fusion cannon. Just absolutely way too skinny, and you may be like, why are you talking about the accessories already with the fusion cannon? And that's pretty simple. I'm not talking about the accessories, I'm talking about Megatron. And a Megatron without a fusion cannon is a Starscream. But yeah, this thing is so skinny that it just looks like he got a paper towel tube and taped it to his arm. It's just not helping this guy feel like he's as big and powerful as he should be. Also, quick question, why does this guy have his jetpack? They stopped working and got rid of them like a third of the way through the movie, which is something I forgot to complain about in both my reviews of the movie. Like, why is it that I can't say for sure that the jetpacks ran out of energon during the Iacon 5000? There's not a shot of the fuel gauge or anything. They're just flying along, and at a point they land because a guy almost falls into them, and from there on they just start riding on the other contestants in the race, clearly unable to fly anymore, despite the fact that they still have their jetpacks. Is there like a scene missing? What the fuck happened? Is this even a review of this figure anymore, or is it of the movie? Gotta love Megs' little winter mitts here. He looks like he's ready for a snow day with these padded gloves. And while it's a little ugly to have these slits cut through the tops of his shoulders, I will happily take these any day of the week because I was almost sure that thanks to the kind of insane way that they designed all the characters in the movie, they were all doomed to have hot rod shoulders. So this looks way better getting his arms out to the side than Optimus does. It looks way better in general though. Better paint, better colors, better sculpting, a better head, well, maybe not a better head. The helmet's good, it's a cool design, and it's definitely the one that he had in the movie by that point, but there's just something off about the face. It's puffy, and I feel like I've seen it before, but hilariously not from the movie that this is from. I almost wonder if this is the face off of a different Megatron toy because they didn't have access to the finalized designs while working on this thing. That would actually explain a lot, like why the fusion cannon is the version that he had earlier in the movie, and why his backpack is so much more pronounced like it's the jetpack he had at the start. Anyways, this is a head that works for Megatron, but doesn't look like D16's upgraded mug. And I really wish that I could place where I'd seen this face before other than a Robert Zadar movie with that chin. Yeesh, you could shatter boulders on that thing. So while I would have preferred a more proportionate torso, I mean seriously, his legs are so long and eating into his torso so much his hands literally come down to his knees. I do think that this robot mode looks pretty great. By fixing the ugly articulation, using the better fusion cannon, and actually making the colors good as opposed to whatever Optimus was doing, this managed to improve in some ways on the actual movie design, while keeping 90% of what made the movie design pretty cool in the first place. Though I will say there is still a bit of that Fortnite skin stink on him. The most baffling part of this dude is the head, and it's really not that bad. The helmet's perfect, it's just the face that's weird. For the accessories, we already talked about the fusion cannon. I'm glad he got this version of it. Fuck the triple-barreled version, let Megatron just have the classic. There is a reason he's had this version for so long, and that's because it looks awesome, even if this one somehow developed anorexia. He also comes with this piece, which is the parts-forming tip of the tank cannon. And a lot of people think that this is the smaller arm gun he had in the final fight. No, that's this piece. The other one is just a parts-forming piece for the tip of the cannon. Sure, you can peg that into the same area and pretend it's the same thing, but we all know that those who do are insane. Anyways, yeah, he's also got these pipes. He only had one in the movie. I think he has two here just for the sake of symmetry, as they have to go somewhere in the alt mode, so they're mounted on the sides. But yeah, these accessories are fine, I guess. The fact that there's a piece that's only there to be a parts-forming piece that doesn't serve a function in the robot mode is pretty lame, and the side guns just kind of exist for the most part, but at least he came with a good fusion cannon. You know what else is good about this figure? The articulation. Head has a swivel, and you can fake it for a ton of down. 90 shoulders that don't have to hot rod up. Thank God. Maximum elbows. Wrist swiv. Hips are unimpeded in all directions, but you have to get the machine gun pipe out of the way for the back. Bit better than 90 knees. And feet with a slight rocker in both directions and a serious toe down. So yeah, that's all pretty great, honestly. Great head, good shoulders, fantastic elbows, normal wrists and waist, slightly better than average hips, decent knees, and great feet. Better in almost every area than average, and average at worst in the others. But what is really below average is the transformation. This kind of really sucks. Not in the worst ways possible, it's pretty easy and pretty quick, but there's just a violent lack of fun. And I keep fucking hurting my fingers on the chest piece, because it doesn't want to go, and it doesn't want to go, and it doesn't want to go, and then suddenly it launches forward, and my fingers slip off, and they run down the sharpest parts, and I keep thinking I got cut by it. But let me tell you, the worst part is actually the backpack. For some reason, they didn't want this attached in the box, so they left it to us to put this thing on ourselves. For some reason, they thought they needed to make that super easy, so they put it on a regular 5mm peg, which also, for some reason, they made that peg shorter than an amoeba's dick. This damn thing falls off every 2 seconds. You could probably give this figure a decent shake and have it come off. And here's what makes it even worse. Why is this not on a mushroom peg? What, would that have cost you 1/100 of a gram more plastic, Hasbro? And here's what makes it even worse. The fusion cannon has the parts form off his arm, then attached to the backpack by pushing the opposite way the backpack attaches, so that's trying to shove this part off. Then the other part needs to come off the backpack, which is also trying to pull the whole thing off, and then it attaches to the front of the barrel, which is also trying to push the backpack off. This is a double parts former that causes 3 instances where the backpack you could probably blow off even if you had a bad case of smoker's lung is trying to get knocked off even harder. This sucks. And then the alt mode also kind of really sucks. Like, I want to like this thing really hard, but this is 2 extremely messy treads and then like a bit of tissue paper pretending to connect them together. Like, there is this giant obvious gap under the turret that's almost as bad as the Bumblebee Megatron's version of this. And then there is this heinous fillet of chest that's pantomiming forming the front section of the connecting area, but even from above and to the front, it's blatantly obvious that it's just a hollow shell. This is the veneer of the idea of a shadow of a tank mode. The cannon on the turret is impressive, though I don't know if the side guns actually help it, and that part is blast effect compatible, but that's just about the only positive thing I can say about this alt mode. He only has the tips of treads when all of this underside should have been one contiguous track, and this thing can't even begin to roll. Hell, even just turning the turret like this thing is designed to do kind of ruins the illusion even harder. Not that there was much illusion to ruin, and it will fall off if you try. So the studio series for Transformers 1 has kind of sucked so far. They probably should have taken a bit longer to put these out, and maybe made them Voyagers or something. Optimus was just designed bad, but Megatron feels like he needed more to work with, and maybe someone sitting next to the designer to slap him when he came up with ideas like how the backpack attaches. The robot mode is excellent. While not quite accurate enough for the studio series, it's not bad there. It looks cool, it's got good accessories, and it poses great. But when the transformation is about as fun as losing a game of Rochambeau, and the alt mode is only good at a distance if you squint, then as I see it, 2/3 of the figure are just worthless. I flat out don't want to transform this ever, and I don't want to look at it in tank mode. They bring me no joy. You should probably save your money. And before we go, let's thank a channel backer. And this time it's... wow, that just barely got over the line. Ricochet Deadlocker with Siege Hound, one of my favorite figures ever. The first figure I got from Siege, and the one that let me know that it was going to be something truly special. This just has that hand candy factor, while looking cool as hell, having a fantastic transformation, and a really cool alt mode, where the cab section is a little weirdly bullshitty, like I don't know why the seating area is sculpted the way it is, and also it's just got the coolest accessories in all of Siege. These little assholes promised such an awesome play pattern that the rest of the line and every figure since has refused to deliver on the promise of. It was so cool that at a point I was going to design and 3D print a bunch of guns to fit the pattern. Wish I ever bothered finishing those. Anyways, that's not half what I have to say, but it's enough what I have to say. And I know, you know, what everyone else tells you to do at the end of these videos. So, if you liked what you saw here, please do that. And if you'd like to take it a step further, then please share this video with any friend you think may be interested. I hope you all enjoyed listening to me waste your time.